This is QTV Nightly News coming to you from our studios on Caraba Avenue. I am Umudu Gajaga and thank you for joining us. First, here are the main news headlines. The Fab Foundation was officially launched on Friday by the First Lady Fatoumata Barrow after years of interventions to improve different sectors of the country. The African Center for Democracy and Human Rights Studies, in collaboration with partners, on Saturday held a forum on the participation of NGOs in the 79th Ordinary Session of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights. Over $35 million worth of equipment were presented to the Gambia Police Force on Friday by the German Police Support Team. 20 students have graduated at the University of Science, Engineering and Technology, USET, after 7 weeks intensive training on ASI thresher fabrication. Peace Corps de Gambia on Friday joined the rest of the world to commemorate Sexual Assault Awareness Prevention Month. Those were the news headlines, now the news in detail. Welcome and thank you for joining us. This is QTV News. The Fab Foundation was officially launched on Friday by the First Lady, Fatoumata Barrow, after years of interventions to improve different sectors of the country. President Adama Barrow was the chief guest of honor at the event. Jennifer Sonko has the details.
The Fatoumata Barrow Foundation is a charity formed in 2017 which supports poor communities, disadvantaged women, youths, children, and vulnerable groups in the Gambia. The foundation supports key areas in health and social welfare through education and social development programs. First ladies have a unique opportunity to take on critical issues and have a lasting impact through partnerships with development organizations at home and abroad. Here is Betty Sen, CEO of Fab Foundation.
Fab Foundation embodies the spirit of collective unity. We recognize that sustainable progress requires collaboration across sectors and stakeholders.
The Fab Foundation has made significant progress in campaigning, improving child health with community-based treatments such as diarrhea, pneumonia, surgeries, and malaria. Lamin Jase is the chairman, board of directors of Fab Foundation.
That it is important to empower women not only by giving them handouts, but also to give them skills, but also to help them to help themselves. Another project that we anticipate is the youth sensitization program. This would be more of an advocacy, but also part of service delivery.
Fatoumata Barrow won Voice Magazine's Achievers Award for the year 2021. She also received the Global Award for Excellence on the sidelines of the 74th session of the United Nations General Assembly by the Global Empowerment Movement. She was also awarded an honorary degree of Doctor of Human Letters by American International University, West Africa. For the Gambian First Lady, bringing relief and empowering the vulnerable and disadvantaged remains her key priorities.
We have strived for the betterment of our community, working tirelessly to improve the lives of those in need and to pave the way for a brighter future for generations to come. To our beneficiaries, your resilience and strength inspire us every day. Your stories have touched our hearts and reminded us of the importance of the mission. It is a privilege to be part of your journey.
The launch of the foundation saw private and public companies raise and pledge funds to support the foundation's worthy cause. Alhaji Mohammed Indimi pledged $1 million. QCell Gambia GSM operator donated $1.5 million and Q Group Foundation pledged $1 million. Other private and public institutions also pledged cash to support improving 10 maternal units across the country, a youth economic and sustainable empowerment, and ensuring women's sustainability in agriculture projects. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jennifer Sonko.
The African Center for Democracy and Human Rights Studies, in collaboration with the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, and partners commenced the forum on the participation of the NGOs in the 79th ordinary session of the ACHPR in Banjul on Saturday. Julden Jai reports.
The theme for this year's 79th ordinary session of the Year of Education, Educate an African Faith for the 21st Century, Building Resilient Education Systems for Increased Access to Inclusive, Lifelong, Quality and Relevant Learning in Africa. The participants are drawn from African civil society organizations and international NGOs in Africa advocating democracy, rule of law, governance, human rights, peace and security. The objectives of the forums are to share updates on the human rights situation in Africa by the African and international NGO community, to identify responses as well as adopt strategies for the promotion and protection of human rights in the continent. Here is Anna Foster, Executive Director of the African Center for Democracy and Human Rights Studies.
Although the main duty bearers for the promotion and protection of human rights are states, the promotion and protection of human rights remains a collective responsibility. Consequently, it must be promoted, protected by everyone, everywhere, every time, and every day.
The forum will focus on equal access to education for sustainable development, on constitutional changes of government, human rights education in Africa, access to digital technology in Africa, democracy and the rule of law, civic engagement and freedom of assembly, protection of human rights defenders, and conflict and political instability in Africa. Justice Aissatou Jallosi, a High Court judge, is representing the Chief Justice of the Gambia.
Education stands as the cornerstone of development, democracy and human rights. It is not a mere path to personal advancement, but a fundamental right and a collective responsibility. Quality education empowers individuals, fosters equality, and drives inclusive growth, yet the challenges in our education systems are stark. Millions of children remain out of school, denied the transformative power of knowledge and opportunity.
Commissioner Janet Salanjai, Vice Chairperson of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, highlights some of the challenges affecting access to quality education in Africa.
Imagine education not just as a gateway, but as a powerful river, flowing with the potential to shape lives and transform landscapes. Yet, like any river, it faces obstacles. Poverty, gender disparities, lack of infrastructure and sufficient human resources, and conflict that may divert the course of the river. To navigate these dangerous waters, we need to work together. Governments, civil society organizations, and international partners to build robust bridges in terms of policies and programs. We need to invest in schools in rural areas, provide grants as lifelines for vulnerable groups, and pave the way for the education of every child.
At the end of the forum, participants are expected to document general trends and situation of education, human rights, democracy, and the rule of law in Africa, and adopt recommendations and resolutions. For QTV News, I am Julden Jai.
Over $35 million worth of equipment were presented to the Gambia Police Force on Friday by the German Police Support Team. The event, held at the Police Intervention Unit in Kanifing, aims to strengthen the capacity of the police and enhance their operations. Lena E. Igwenyiba tells us more.
The presentation ceremony was attended by dignitaries, partners and stakeholders. The items included 4 Toyota minivans, 3 Toyota Hilux pickups, 15 Yamaha motorbikes, 10 Canon digital cameras, and various crime scene investigation kits. CDM Toure, Inspector General of Police, emphasized the importance of equipping the police force and assured that the items would be utilized effectively.
It is high on my agenda as a new Inspector General of Police for us to increase our footprints in the communities through enhancing police visibility. Therefore, the importance of adequate capacity for the Police Intervention Unit, and anti-crime, which are our main frontline duty bearers for community protection and safety, cannot be overemphasized. As a result, I am very delightful that majority of the handover equipment today are meant for them. Personal safety of the PIU and ACU will be enhanced with the donated equipment. For officers to be more effective in protecting the civilians, officers need to be reassured of their personal safety first. All these donated equipment and items are meant for a specialized unit within the Gambia Police Force. And the assurances that I want to give to our partners is the donated equipment and items will be utilized for the intended purpose and for the special units.
Stephen Haas, deputy head of the German Police Support Team, GPST, outlined the training and logistical support provided by the GPST to the Gambia Police Force and announced more support to the police.
Only well-equipped and trained officers will carry out their duties with dignity, honor, and professionalism, and adhere to the standards of human rights and democracy. To ensure this transformation, we support the infrastructure from the very beginning and provide numerous capacity building trainings ranging from TOT trainings in operational level, crowd control, selection recruitment, traffic policing, to crime scene management. Also, more equipment aids such as vehicles and gears worth than $25 million are expected to arrive in the Gambia later this year.
Asan Tangara, Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Interior, underscored the invaluable benefits of the equipment and expressed gratitude to the GPST.
The donated equipment will contribute significantly to the fight against crimes and its related activities. It will also strengthen the capacity of the police force. And on behalf, once again, of the Honorable Minister, the Government of the Gambia, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to the EU, the German government, and all partners who are present for their support in providing the needed equipment and capacity building to the Gambian police force and all sister services.
The police are empowered to ensure the safety, health, and possessions of citizens and to prevent crime and civil disorder. The donation and training provided by the German Police Support Team will in no small measure help the police to carry out their duties. Reporting for KTV News, I am Lena Igwenyuba.
Time to go for a commercial break, and when we return, we still have some more local and international news.
Green Power was founded in 2001 and is headquartered in Swindon, UK. It is mainly engaged in project investment and operation of fields of photovoltaic power generation, wind power, hydropower, and other clean energy, as well as hydrogen energy, energy storage, comprehensive energy and other fields, contributing more than $50 billion to energy infrastructure. Its business scope covers RCEP countries in Europe, the Middle East, Africa, Australia, and Asia. A new chapter is opening, driven by the power of technological change, and we aspire to bring this change to the people of the Gambia, ushering a new era of vitality and sustainability. Green Power sincerely invites sales management leads to join our company and create a new life together.
ku ñu doon laaj yagsi nañu laaj lay li daa Tobaski ak Style QTV 2024 bés ba agsi na jàpp nañu ko on the 17th of this month May fan lay amee ma ngay xewee foofa ca Q City ca Tinba nga xam ne féex mag ngelaw la fu ne la lay jaar ñu ngi owaa réew mi ñëw leen ngeen book seeni booking ngeen xool seeni ay sañse yu ngeen mën a julle yéen ak seeni njaboot ndax ñëwkat yi nañu ñëwee ren ji dafa jéggi dayo jëratul ngay dem ci benn marché di jënd pièce yóbbu di ñëw di xat-xatlu da ngay ñëw toog ci biir Tobaski ak Style ca biir Q City nga gis ñetti morceau nga jënd grand boubou tayman daggit dress lépp la suñu ay ñawkat préparer gaañi ci tabaski ji yow mi toog di xaar ñëwal te bul ko kenn nettali di nga fa gis ay sañse dinañ leen amal ay ambiance di nga am entertainment kan moo leen di bégal waa Bright Stars akan xanaa Seex Fall borom daare lamp Fall borom téeméeri sabar juróom fukki tama moo nar a yëngal keroog guddi gi mu doon jàkkaarloo gu mësuta am fenn ci réew mi du xam ngeen QTV ni mu mënee bés ak ni mu fonkee bi le bés di Tobaski ak Style ndax Tobaski la ñuy waajal dafa am solo lool. Tickets yëpp a ngi available right now. Ordinary mu ngi jar $400, VIP $700. yaa ngi koy amee fii ci biir QCell Kairaba Avenue wala nga ekkati sa téléphone jokko ak ñoom ci nu mu gën a gaawee 324 4444 ak QTV ni mu yàggee di jommal askan wi saa ñu teewee seen bés da ngeen di xam ne dañu ko téye amee ñëw nañ ci beneen facette.
Welcome back and thank you very much for joining us. This is QTV News. 20 students have graduated at the University of Science, Engineering and Technology, USET, after 7 weeks intensive training on ASI tracer fabrication organized by the Roots Project. Julden Jai attended and filed this report.
Manual rice threshing is labor-intensive and back-breaking, and is mainly carried out by women farmers in many parts of Africa, including here in the Gambia. Moreover, manual rice threshing causes post-harvest losses. The training undergone by these graduates is in line with the project's efforts to increase production and rice yield and minimize major challenges in the post-harvest management of rice. Momodu LBS Drame is the head of Engineering Department, Institute of Technical Training, ITT.
For USET, we have the capacity, we have the resources, and we have the opportunity when we are invited or when we are identified to collaborate with any other institution to do similar training programs.
Dr. Roger Ahuwansu, an expert trainer from Africa Rice, says the project is another step in sustainable agriculture.
Came here from the beginning to train on one type of acid thresher, the small scale. But at the end of the day, we train on 2 types. What is the first? Everywhere we are going, we just train on one type, but today we train on the big one, capacity almost 1 ton per hour, and the small one, capacity 500 kgs per hour.
Mustafa Drame, Deputy Director General, Department of Agriculture, and Aliu Seka, Director ITT at USET, had this to say.
To the trainees, I think I'm very, very happy again to say a big congratulations, because these are our own people. Like Dr. Roger has just mentioned, the project could have just decided to bring business from outside, but is that sustainable? It is not sustainable.
This training was not just about understanding the mechanics of machines, but it was about embracing technology that stands to revolutionize rice processing in our region.
Mamour Aliu Jain, Project Director of Roots Project, says the project has benefited nearly 200 communities in the Gambia.
We have impacted more than 20,000 households in this country so far. But as project director, I can say to you that today is one of our proudest moments. It's a combined national effort. We have put together our resources together with the University of Applied Science, Engineering and Technology to solve what is a national problem.
Ibrahim Asise, a graduate, gave the vote of thanks.
The country has to stop from ordering this rice tracer, and our doors has to be knocked to provide these rice tracers for the country.
The acid thresher mechanically separates the rice grains from the panicle, which is the skin of the grain, without damaging the grains. It has high threshing capacity, low fuel cost, and can be manufactured locally. For QTV News, I am Julden Jai.
Peace Corps de Gambia on Friday joined the rest of the world to commemorate Sexual Assault Awareness Prevention Month, aimed at eliminating sexual assault and to stand in solidarity with survivors. Mamseh Ngom reports.
The event began with a march past
from the Serekunda Junction on Kairaba Avenue to the Peace Corps building, led by Gambia Police Force. The theme for this year's commemoration is Building Connected Communities. Siri Molly, Country Director for Peace Corps The Gambia, highlights the importance of the theme.
Sexual assault is a global problem. Both men and women are affected by this problem. We all suffer when any of us suffer. Our communities are always stronger when we are all thriving. According to the World Health Organization, violence against women is a major public health problem and a violation of women's human rights.
Bajan is a Wolof word meaning ant. Paradise Foundation has chosen a representative called a Bajan, who is the first point of contact before rape cases are reported to the police. Aisa Balde Ann, Director of Paradise Foundation, explains the importance of Bajans in our communities.
The Bajans, as we know, are in the communities, and their role is to build communities and families. Despite our efforts to combat sexual violence, reports and data from various sources, including law enforcement agencies, other Ministry of Gender and other stakeholders, indicate that sexual violence continues to be a prevalent concern.
Jibril Toure, the Peace Corps The Gambia Gender Coordinator, and Demba Dafe, Bajan of Paradise Foundation, both spoke about the significance of raising sexual assault awareness.
Where in the regions people would have sexual awareness programs where they can have this access to these informations and also access to these structures.
People say in Wolof, dafa danu si kawam. I disagree with that. The correct statement is forcefully assaulting a woman against her will, and this is a challenge in our communities.
According to the WHO, survivors of sexual violence often experience post-traumatic stress disorder and are at an increased risk of thinking about attempting and committing suicide. Sexual trauma is also a factor for many such individuals who also experience depression and anxiety. Reporting for QTV News, I am Mam Sheikh Ngom.
Well, ended with that beautiful interlude of police music. Now, is international news. Chad's military leader Mahamat Déby has been declared winner of Chad's presidential election after securing more than 60% of the total votes cast in the just concluded election. Meanwhile, his main challenger, who is also the country's prime minister, has contested the provisional results, claiming victory in the polls. Mamadou Lamin Choi has the latest.
Chadians went to the polls to mark an end to a 3-year-long transition to democracy following a military rule. This election was lightly described as a vote meant to formalize and give legitimacy to the military's grip on power. On Thursday, Chad's electoral body declared Mahamat Idris Déby winner of Monday's election, announcing that he had secured more than 60% of the votes cast. The announcement of the results came in much earlier than expected, as the provisional results were originally thought to arrive on May 21st. Local media has reported celebratory gunshots in the capital on Thursday night after Idris Déby was announced winner. Thursday night, a day when the results were announced, there is a report of an unusual heavily armed military personnel in the streets of the country's capital. Déby Itno, also known as Mahamat Idris Déby, seized power after his father, who spent 3 decades in power, was killed fighting rebels in 2021. Upon taking office in 2021, he had pledged to hold free and democratic elections within 18 months. However, his government extended the transition period until 2024, allowing the military leader to stay in office until the scheduled elections for this year. Chad's military junta has become the first of the coup-hit countries in West Africa to stage a return to constitutional rule via the ballot box. However, opposition parties have cried foul over vote rigging concerns. Hours before the provisional results were announced, Debbie's main challenger, Suse Masra, claimed quote-unquote resounding victory in the polls. The opposition leader has been the country's prime minister since January after he returned from exile abroad and made a deal with Debbie. Results from the electoral body puts Masra as a runner-up to Debbie with over 18% of the vote. Chad, an oil exporting country of nearly 18 million people, is reported to have never had a free and fair transfer of power since its independence in 1960, after decades of French rule. The pre-election period saw Chad's Constitutional Council excluding 10 presidential hopefuls from the ballot paper, a decision some have described to be politically motivated. In February this year, the tense political atmosphere in the lead-up to the election reached a tipping point when General Davis' potential opponent, his cousin Yaya Dillo, was allegedly killed by security forces. He is reported to have been allegedly leading an attack on the National Security Agency in the country's capital. Despite being an oil-producing country, Chad is one of the poorest countries in the world, with nearly half of its population living below the poverty line. Mohamed Debi Itno's victory means that the Debi's family's 34-year rule will continue. Mahmoud Lamin Choi, QTV News.
Now, before we end this news bulletin, here's a recap of our main news headlines. The Fab Foundation was officially launched on Friday by the First Lady, Fatoumata Bah Barrow, after years of interventions to improve different sectors of the country. The African Center for Democracy and Human Rights Studies, in collaboration with partners, on Saturday held a forum on the participation of the NGOs in the 79th Ordinary Session of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights. Over $35 million worth of equipment were presented to the Gambia Police Force on Friday by the German police support team. 20 students have graduated at the University of Science, Engineering and Technology, USET, after 7 weeks intensive training on ASSI thresher fabrication. Peace Corps the Gambia on Friday joined the rest of the world to commemorate Sexual Assault Awareness Prevention Month. That's all we have time for in this edition of the news. Thank you very much for watching. Join us for Weekend Review tomorrow at 8 p.m. and have a good night. Bye.